do one more example. So in this problem, it's not in standard form, so we need to move 2p by adding it and subtract 3 from both sides. That will give us 6p squared plus 2p minus 3 equals 0. And that now tells me that a is 6, b is 2, and c is negative 3. So I write my formula. X is equal to the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. So in this case, instead of x, I really have p is equal to the opposite of 2 plus or minus the square root of 2 squared minus 4 times 6 times negative 3 all over 2 times 6. So if we do some simplifying, we'll have a negative 2 plus or minus. So we'll do all of that in our calculator all at once. So 2 squared minus 4 times 6 times a negative 3 gives us 76 all over 2 times 6, which is 12. Now, if you try to take the square root of 76, you don't get an even answer. So we need to simplify it. So this goes back to what we did in the last chapter as well. 76 we can break down. 2 goes into 76 38 times. 2 goes into 38 19 times. So the square root of 76 is really 2 times 2 times 19. This is a pair of 2s, so it's going to come out. So we'll get 2 times the square root of 19. So we have p is equal to negative 2 plus or minus 2 square roots of 19 all over 12. So here we can do some simplifying. On the top, there's a greatest common factor. This piece and this piece, those terms both have 2's. So we can factor out a 2, and that would leave us with negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 19 over 12. Now we can reduce this 2 and that 12. If we reduce it, the 2 will cancel out, and this will leave us as a 6, 1 over 6. So we'll get for our answer, x is equal to negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 19 over 6. And that's actually two answers. It's actually x equals negative 1 plus the square root of 19 over 6. And x equals negative 1 minus the square root of 19 over 6. And those are exact answers of that problem. Now let's talk about this for a minute. Let's look at how that ends up as a decimal. So these are our answers. Let's say for a minute, or pretend for a minute, that the directions asked us to round our answers to the nearest, let's say 100. This is the hint that you're going to be using your calculator to find the final answer, that we don't want to leave it in this format. The way we do that is that we type into our calculator the top of the expression. So we'll type in negative 1 plus the square root of 19, and then we'll hit enter. And if we do that, you should get 3.358898944. This isn't actually the end, although the calculator may show it like that. We still have the divided by 6 on the bottom, so after you get that answer, don't do anything, just hit divided by 6 and then enter, and it should show something like ANS divided by 6 on the screen, and that gives you 0.5598, and it keeps going. Now the nearest hundredth means this spot right here. The number after it is 5 or bigger, so we want to move this one up to a 6 and not write that. So our first answer is 0.56. We'll do the same thing with the other piece. We'll start with this top, and we'll type this part into our calculator first, and then hit enter. And you should get negative 5.35889, and it keeps going. And then without doing anything, any clearing or anything, hit divide by 6. Again, you should see something like ANS divided by 6 on your screen. And that gives you negative 0.89314, and it keeps going. But we want to the nearest hundredth, so the number after the 9 is 4 or lower, which means we leave the 9 and 9, and we don't write anything else. So we get our other answer to be negative 0.89. So you just have to pay attention to the directions about whether they want you to round or whether they want exact. These first answers we got were exact. That's what you get before you pick up your calculator to find an answer.